George Fisher, Cannibal Corpse, and you're watching Rock and Metal News.
Hi, this is Alex Webster from Cannibal Corpse, and you're watching Rock and Metal News.
Alright, so you guys just released your new album titled Torture a little while ago, and I thought it was an absolutely amazing album. In my opinion, the best Cannibal Corpse album out there. And what do you feel differently, you did differently in the writing process of this album than any other previous Cannibal Corpse record?
Well, we made a conscious effort to make sure that everybody did a lot of writing. You know, any of the guys in the band who like to write music were given the opportunity to write a lot, where on some of the previous records, especially lately, I had written more than half of the record on the past several records. So this time it wound up being a much more even split. I did 5 songs, Pat did 4, Rob did 3. Mm-hmm. You know, so that's a pretty even split, and I think it ended up creating a lot more variety between the songs. You know, as much as I'd always, you know, being a main writer in the past, I'd kind of tried to make sure that there was variety. It's just going to be that much easier when it's more people writing. So I would say that the big difference on this record, as far as songwriting goes, is that it was just a more even split of the songwriting duties amongst the band members. You know, it was almost a third for each of us. You know, mm-hmm. I think it worked out to our benefit for sure.
Yeah, it's an absolutely amazing album, very diverse, extremely dynamic. It's just through and through, it's an amazing album, man.
Thank you.
And what was it like to work with Eric Rudin from Hate Eternal again for producing the album? Did he bring anything new to the table?
Well, we did things a little bit differently this time. I mean, we'd already done Kill and Evisceration Plague with Eric at his studio. We wanted to keep working with Eric, but we wanted to change the location. So what we did was we went back to Sonic Ranch Studios in El Paso, Texas, where we had done Bloodthirst, The Wretched Spawn, and Gore Obsessed. And we'd done those records there, but those were with other producers. So this was the first time we tried combining those two successful things. You know, we had success at Sonic Ranch, we had success with Eric. We figured, why not try and, you know, put those two things together? So it worked out pretty well to have Eric down there. Might have been a little bit of an adjustment for him at first, because he really is a kind of producer who generally likes to work in his own studio, but he adapted and we wound up really getting some sounds that we might not have otherwise been able to get. You know, there's a lot of really expensive equipment at Sonic Ranch, and Eric had full run of that stuff. You know, we used, for example, like just for my bass tone alone, we used a microphone. It's like a $9,000 microphone. It's a tube microphone. So we had all this different. We would not normally use a microphone that expensive, you know, like. Yeah. But because it was there, we figured, why not? You know, and it's one of the reasons that, you know, just that and a bunch of other cool gear that we got to use really helped the record sound better, you know, just from an engineering standpoint. Mm-hmm. So it was cool. It was cool to just have those two familiar things, you know, the Sonic Ranch studio and then Eric Rutan, having those two things on this record. You know, it really helped, I think, to mix things up but have it still be familiar.
Yeah, and the production is absolutely amazing.
Oh, cool, yeah. I mean, that's definitely Eric's hard work. Yeah. He made it that way. You know, he busted his ass on this album.
Yeah, no kidding. Scourge of Iron, that was a real heavy, slower song for you guys. I know that you wrote that song. I was wondering if you could tell us a bit about that song and how it came about.
Sure. That might have been the last song or the second from the last song that I wrote out of the 5 that I did for Torture. And I just was sitting around at my house, and I started, you know, playing something a little bit slower. I do enjoy some slower metal sometimes, some, you know, doom-ish kind of stuff. I'm not like some full-on doom guy, but I do enjoy some of that stuff. And I just sat around jamming on something and started recording it and transcribing it and everything. And those basic ideas that I had eventually turned into that song, Scourge of Iron. It's different, you know, it is different from the other songs, and it's a little bit different even from some of the other slow songs we've done, and that's the point, really. I mean, we want to continue to do new things within the boundaries of death metal, which I think Scourge of Iron is still very much a death metal song, but I think with a song like that, and maybe some of the other songs on the record as well, we've been able to show that there's still plenty of room to be creative within the boundaries that we've set for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we want our band to be a death metal band, but we're willing to get creative with the limits we've given ourselves, and I think Scourge shows that. You know, it's a death metal song, but it doesn't sound like our other songs. So, and just to get back to actually what the song's about and everything too, that the song, the music to me felt kind of like epic and plotting. You know, like I just picture like a bunch of people being driven. You know, like it really is what it's about, you know what I mean? Like the music, I feel, fits the lyrics pretty well, and that the lyrics are about a literal interpretation of hell, like just people being marched through hell, working and being whipped as they go, and it's a long, dreary, eternal drudge what they're going through, and that's the music I felt, worked pretty well with that kind of a lyric.
Yeah, it's a really good song, and a lot different than some of the other songs. Actually, it really stands out in my opinion.
Oh, thank you. And again, it was intentional for sure that it would stand out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, does the entire band feel you all created the best record you could have done at this time, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think we feel pretty much like that was. I mean, honestly, I think every record that we put out, we always feel like that was the best we could do. Whether or not we feel like it's the best record, that's, so difficult to say. I mean, because you can't really define something as being the best artistically.
Yeah.
It's a matter of opinion. I mean, for one person, our first album could be the best one. For one person, the newest one could be. It's really a matter of personal taste. But for things that you can quantify, like tightness and production and our performance and everything, I would say it is the best one as far as performance, and just our abilities are at a peak. Really, it might not be the very most technical one, but I think it's got a lot of interesting songwriting on it, and the performances are all really tight, and the sounds that Eric got us, and helped us find, the guitar sound, bass sound, drum sound, it all is the best that we've achieved so far. So I would say it's from the things that you can actually measure, it is the best so far from us.
Mm-hmm.
But for more, I don't know the word, but for things that are more subjective, like whether or not they're our best songs, it's more difficult to say, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do you find like your favorite song on the album as of right now?
I actually Scourge is a lot of fun to play live. I tend to, end up liking my own songs the best, and I think Pat probably feels that way about his songs, and Rob about his. That happens a lot. Sometimes I end up liking one of the other guys' songs more.
Mm-hmm.
Sarcophagic Frenzy, Rob's song, is a lot of fun to play.
Yeah.
But I do have to say my favorite to play live is probably Crucify or Avenged.
Mm-hmm.
I just like that kind of riff, where you've got like a chunky riff that has fast double bass with snare, on the it's called the backbeat, like on the 2 and the 4.
Yeah.
That kind of a drum beat with a real chunky rhythm. I like it a lot, and it's at a speed where it's very easy to play bass to it. It's not super easy, but it's very comfortable, I should say, and I can get a really good sound on that song. So it's just a lot of fun to play that song live.
Mm-hmm.
But so right now, Crucify or Avenged is probably my favorite, but I'm really proud of all 12 songs on the record for sure.
Yeah. So you guys are headlining the most brutal North American tour festival called Summer Slaughter this summer, starting in a couple of days. So how do you think this tour is going to go, and how do you feel about the lineup this year?
I think the tour is going to be great. The lineup is definitely diverse, and
for sure.
I think that it will appeal to a very broad variety of fans. I've been to Between the Buried and Me shows before, and their fans are definitely from a bit of a different scene than what you would find at a Cannibal Corpse or Deicide show.
Yeah.
But yet there's a common thread that you have of the heavy guitar riffs and the raging vocals and everything, and just there's a lot of blast and all these bands. So even the bands on the tour that seem to be from a little bit more of the prog metal scene, like Between the Buried and Me or Periphery, I still think that they'll have a lot of appeal for our fans and vice versa. Like, bands like us and Goatwhore and Exhumed. I think fans of Periphery and Between the Buried and Me will end up enjoying what we have to offer. So I think it can work really well, having that sort of a combination of more traditional death metal and then progressive extreme metal. I think the two genres are more closely linked than people might immediately think.
Yeah.
Looking at the way the bands present themselves, it's quite different. You know what I mean? It's not exactly the same kind of stage presence or clothing or whatever or look, but what's coming out of the speakers is actually not all that different. And I think that's the most important thing. So I think it's going to gel really well.
Yeah, I think it's
forward to it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be every show following is going to be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like we draw a lot of people with just our own headlining tours, and then Between the Buried and Me draw a whole ton of people on their headlining tours. And like I said, it's a fairly different crowd. So if we could get, if us at Goatwhore, Exhumed, and Job for a Cowboy, Cerebral Bore, that tour in itself would be a hugely successful death metal tour. And then if you, look at like a more prog extreme metal tour with featuring the other bands on the bill, Periphery, the Faceless, Veil of Maya, and Between the Buried, I mean, that tour would be huge on its own. So you put the two together, and I can't see how anyone would want to miss it. You know what I mean? If you're into heavy shit, you pretty much have to attend.
No kidding, So will Cannibal Corpse be doing anything new or further live performances on this tour than any other tour, or?
Probably it'll be the kind of live performance we've always been known for, which is pretty much a no frills, just, we get up there and we headbang and we play our stuff. We do try to make sure that we represent every album when we headline. Having said that, since Summer Slaughter is not really even though we're headlining it, we still have to limit our set length just because of the length of the day. I mean, nine bands plus a local every night winds up, it's 10 bands. If everybody's going to play, it's a pretty long event. So we'll probably only do an hour, which means there might be a couple albums that we end up not playing the song from, but we'll still try to represent our career as much as we can, our whole career with the set.
Awesome.
We've always tried to do that. We're not a band that's going to concentrate either on really old stuff or on the really new stuff. We really want to cover all areas of our career with our live set. So that's what people can expect, as a well-rounded set with, of course, some emphasis on torture since it's the new record. But beyond that, it'll be pretty evenly divided amongst the other albums.
Awesome. So what songs are you planning to play off Torture?
Well, the songs that we've had in the set so far for our headlining set, where we have more or less as much time as we want, we've actually been playing 6 songs.
Oh, wow.
We do Demented Aggression, Sarcophagic Frenzy, Scourge of Iron, Crucifier Avenged, Encased in Concrete, and As Deep as the Knife Will Go. So it's that 6 songs we've been doing for our headlining shows. We'll probably skip a couple of those just to make room for some of the classic stuff, since we have to trim the set down to an hour for Summer Slaughter. But it'll still be at least 4 songs from the new record we'll be playing. If we trim any, it might be As Deep as the Knife Will Go, and unfortunately, Crucifier Avenged, like I said, that's one of my favorites, but we might have to skip that for the summer and then bring it back for some other tour in the future. We'll see. We're not 100% sure, but we really love how the new album turned out, and we do want to play that music for everybody. I've seen a lot of bands that have been around for a long time, like us, they'll put out a new record and they'll only play 1, maybe 2 songs from it, and then they just play all their old stuff. And we really feel like our new stuff is some of the best stuff we've ever done, so why not play it? We're not making these records just so we can go tour. We're making the records with the goal of them being our best record. And, we want to go out there and push it and play that because it's the music that we're currently the most proud of is the newer stuff. It's like any artist or writer or a person who makes a movie or whatever you did most recently is what you're most proud of generally. So, we want to get out there and push it.
Right on. It's going to be an absolutely amazing set. I can't wait.
yeah, I can't wait to get out there and start doing it.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. So, how do you feel about the music industry nowadays, and with all these people downloading albums and downloading leaked albums and such?
I mean, you could pretty much write an entire book about that subject. I think there's been a lot of things about it that obviously were bad, a lot of things that were good. It's just really a change. You know, things are changing. I don't think it's going to change in a way that's going to hurt bands as much as people initially thought. It might hurt record companies. You know, the digital revolution in general is changing a lot of stuff. It's creating opportunity and then also destroying businesses. So, you know, there's opportunity for new businesses, but where there's a new business, an old one has to go because there's only so many customers. I was just actually reading an article about Amazon and how they are largely, them and their Kindle, you know, are largely responsible for Borders going out of business and so on. And it's like, you know, it's just, things change and you just have to adapt. You know, that's just the way it goes. So I think bands are going to be fine, though, because currently there's no convincing way to download a live performance. I mean, seeing a live DVD or a Blu-ray disc or even a 3D Blu-ray at this point is not going to be the same as being at the show. You're not there with a bunch of people slamming and being part of the atmosphere and just really hearing it the way it's supposed to sound. So bands will always be able to make a living doing live shows, or maybe not always, but, you know, I'm certainly not a clairvoyant or anything. I can't predict what would put a touring band out of business, but I don't see it right now with any technology that's been invented. And same thing, we can sell shirts and merch. So bands are doing fine. I think that the whole illegal downloading thing has probably made some record companies have to change a lot, you know, and probably put them in an uncomfortable position. But for bands, it's not been as bad as people thought it might be. Maybe 12, 13 years ago when people first started doing a whole lot of downloading, people thought it was over. And it hasn't panned out that way, fortunately.
So what music are you personally listening to right now?
You know, we just played a couple of Extreme Fests. There was these 3 Extreme Fests, one in Switzerland, one in Austria, and one in Germany. And on those 3, it's like a death metal grindcore festival tour, just sort of like a Summer Slaughter kind of thing, but just for 3 shows. And on the days that we played them, the bands that were playing with us were some really killer bands that I had not listened to before. A couple of them I'd heard of, but I hadn't listened to them really. So I went out and got their records just because I thought they did killer live shows. And these 3 bands I've been listening to. This band called Condemned from San Diego. It's really killer. And Guttural Secrete from Las Vegas, and also Azarath from Poland. Those 3 bands, I just went out and bought their CDs just based on having played shows with them. And they've all been around for a while, but I hadn't bought any of their records before, and they're killer, you know. So it's cool to do these shows. I try to pay attention to the bands that we play with because that's where I find out about a lot of bands. Just like fans going to the shows learn about bands by seeing them live. It's the same for us guys when we tour with some new band and do shows with bands that we haven't played with before. We end up becoming fans of them a lot of the time.
Sweet. So how do you feel about social media and websites on the internet having has it changed your following and marketing of the band and tours and stuff?
I would say, yeah. I mean, like, right now, currently, the most important thing is Facebook. 5 years ago, it was MySpace. You know, so things, even more than 5 years ago now, I guess. But, about 5 years ago, MySpace was the big thing, and you had to promote on MySpace. Now it's Facebook. It'll probably be something different in 5 years. You just have to kind of keep up with those things. It's all about just reaching people, you know, and whatever's the easiest way to let people know what you're doing, you're going to try and do it. So we're always keeping an eye on those things. And it's just kind of fun. Like, when Twitter first came out, I was like, oh, that seems stupid, you know, what is that? But I went ahead and got an account anyhow, and now that's actually a really good way for me to keep in touch with people. we'll have a real quick conversation on there. So just one more way to stay in touch with people. And yeah, from the band's marketing point of view, of course, you know, it's good to have a Facebook page and to hit everybody up, you know, and let them know about the tour dates and everything. It's just so much easier for people to find out about tour dates than it was 20 years ago. I mean, 20 years ago, you had to put flyers up physically. I still think that that should be done. It's an important part of it, but an awful lot of the fans know about the shows just from you know, going online, and Facebook is that much better. You know, it's so much better than just a regular website. I have no idea how many people even visit our regular website anymore. It can't be a lot compared to how many visit the Facebook page, or just get our updates. So things have changed. I think they changed probably for the better as far as getting the word out. You know, even like the most underground bands, you just hear about them so much more easily. You know, if somebody's good, it doesn't stay hidden as long as it used to. There used to be just completely undiscovered, awesome bands that no one knew about because there was no way to get the word out. And now, if somebody's really killer, it spreads like wildfire. Like that band Animals as Leaders, that's an awesome band.
Yeah.
That shit went viral fast. You know, everybody just started talking about how killer they were.
Yeah.
It just all of a sudden, everybody knew about them. You know, I didn't see big advertisements for them in magazines or anything like that. It was just word of mouth.
Yeah. Awesome. So I have one fan question from one of our fans. He asked, what do you think of Randy Blythe, the singer of Lamb of God, being arrested in Czech Republic and still being held in prison after giving bail?
You know, I don't know all the details on it, but it seems really wrong that he's there, that he's been arrested at all.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, I don't know the details, but as far as I know, from the story that I've heard about it, it seems like there's no reason for him to even be arrested. I mean, the guy was on stage performing. If he pushed somebody off, I mean, that's a fairly common thing in this kind of music. You know, like stage divers come on, the person gives them a push on the back, and they dive off.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know all the details, though. I haven't seen video of what happened and that sort of thing. I don't really, you know, I'm not qualified to comment on the details, but from what I've heard, it seems like he shouldn't be imprisoned at all. And it's sets a, you know, I mean, it's going to make people scared to play in a place like Czech Republic, I would think, you know. And we have many fans there and have great shows. We just played there. It's an awesome place to play, so that would be a shame. But you know, if you're going to be held accountable for something like that, you know, I mean, I don't know. It seems to me that he should not be being held. You know, from the information that I've been able to see, he should never have been arrested in the first place. I mean, the guy was on stage for trying to perform, and if someone keeps coming on stage, it seems like he's well within his right to push the guy off, and in fact, the security should have been taking care of that for him.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
no kidding.
you know, I mean, if new evidence comes to light where he went beyond just pushing him or something like that, then, you know, whatever. But as it stands right now, I see no reason for him to have been arrested in the first place, and they should let him go, especially if he posted bail. I mean, they should definitely, he should not be imprisoned right now.
Yeah, and footage did come on YouTube, and the first time, what happened was the first time the fan jumped on stage dived without Randy doing anything. Second time he came on stage, Randy pushed him as well as the security guard pushing him, and third time the fan attempted to go on stage, and then the security guard grabbed him before he fully got on stage, and he hit his head into the barricade and then chucked him over the barricade and then just left him laying there, and that's the one that everybody thinks that really hurt him.
Well, again, you know, they'll have to do you know, fully examine it and figure it out, but it sounds, you know, based on what you're saying there, it sounds like there's no reason he should be in prison, and I don't know what they're thinking. And it's you know, as a person who performs and has lots of people jumping on stage, you know, it's going to make any band that plays this kind of music think twice about where they perform.
Yeah, no kidding.
And if they're going to allow stage diving of any type. This could be the kind of thing where if he ends up being convicted, people are just, first of all, that's totally wrong, but second, it might really change the way people think about stage diving, crowd riding, and the whole thing. It might, it could make people want to ban it entirely.
Yeah.
And that's something, a lot of people enjoy doing that at shows, so, it's a tragedy what happened to that kid.
For sure.
But, at the same time, blaming a person who's not responsible, that doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so 2 more questions, then I'll let you go. After Summer Slaughter Tour, what do you think Cannibal Corpse will be up to?
Well, the first thing we're gonna do is go over in October to, we're gonna be playing in Australia, Japan, Indonesia, Thailand, all over the place, on the Pacific Rim, as they like to call a tour of that area. And we're really looking forward to that, because a few of those places we've never played before. We've never played in Indonesia. We've never played Thailand. We are hoping to play China. We'll see if we end up being able to do that. Taiwan, we'd really like to play there as well. So hopefully everything goes well and those shows end up working out. But it'll be some new territory for Cannibal Corpse, and we're very excited about that, since we, we've been to 52 countries already, so there's less and less places for us left to play that we never played before. But we're very happy to see that we're going to be able to get to 2 or 3 new places in October. So that's the next immediate plan, and then hopefully after that we'll keep doing some more touring. I know we've got a tour in February lined up, co-headlining with Devil Driver in Europe, and we're very excited about that too. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it should be a really killer tour. We're working on getting some killer support bands for that as well. So, lots of touring for Torture is basically what we're going to be doing over the next year or so. So
sweet.
The album just came out. We got a lot of touring left ahead of us.
All right, man. So thanks for doing this interview, and I really appreciate it, man.
Cool. Hey, thank you so much